Hi, I'm Ray, and in this video, I'll be sharing my insights um, and learnings on the presentation for topic one. In MBA 08 course, we've been grappling with the profound shifts occurring in the global economy today. I want to take a deeper dive into the emerging global trends report we recently explored. This is not just an academic exercise, but these trends are actively shaping the industries nowadays, redefine organizational structures, and challenging traditional management paradigms. Our goal today is to synthesize critical insights from this presentation and focusing on the three interconnected megatrends that are fundamental to the understanding of tomorrow's business environment. These are globalization, digital transformation, and the rise of remote work and global talent mobility. When you say globalization, it is the evolution and implications for international management. On the other hand, digital transformation is how technology is fundamentally reshaping the business. And lastly, the rise of remote work and global talent mobility talks about the changing nature of work and workforce management. I hope by the end of this presentation, I'll illuminate not just what these trends are, but why they matter and how future leaders like us can effectively navigate them. So, without further ado, um, let's start with globalization. While it's a term we hear frequently, its true depth often goes unappreciated. The presentation defined it as an increasing interdependence of world economies, cultures, and populations, brought about by cross border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. It's truly a multifaceted phenomenon. Historically, we've seen waves of globalization, but what makes this what makes this current wave unique are its key drivers. So what are these key drivers? The key drivers are the first is technological advancement, trade liberalization and agreements, transportation and logistics innovation, and lastly, digital work and remote teams. When you say technological advancements, try to think about AI, blockchain, and real-time communication tools. This collapse geographical barriers, enabling seamless global operations. And what about trade liberalization and agreements? This talks about the ongoing reduction of tariffs and trade barriers through agreements like the World Trade Organization and regional blocks and facilitates freer movement of goods and services. On the other hand, transportation and logistics innovations deals with modern shipping, air freight, and sophisticated supply chain management to make it more feasible to source and distribute globally. And the most crucial and contemporary driver are this digital work and remote teams, which blurs the national boundaries for talent. So we are going cross border crossing of talents. So not just within the Philippines, but with other countries as well. So because of these drivers, we can identify or we can state what are the impacts of globalization because of these key drivers. So the impact of globalization, interconnectedness yields significant impact. So with we are presented by these two impacts of globalization: the opportunities and the challenges. When you say opportunities, um, on the opportunity side, globalization offers access to vast global markets and potential partnerships, allowing companies to scale rapidly in just a few with a limited time. Next is um, the ability to leverage talent outsourcing and achieve cost efficiencies, tapping into diverse labor pools worldwide because of the uh, uh, eliminating the boundaries between countries of having talents across the world. And perhaps the most important innovation fostered through is more than innovation is through exposure of international trends and diverse perspective and new ideas. Because of these opportunities, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that impacts the results, the impact of globalization. However, there is always other side of the coin. So we go to the challenges. So the challenges include intense global competition since we are doing business globally. So our competitors are not just within the Philippines but also across nations, across borders. So where even local businesses must now contend with international players. So like small ones like go go against bigger companies. Next is navigate complex and often conflicting regulatory environments across different countries since we're already crossing borders. So we have different um, regulations and laws that we need to follow for every country. So if we're doing um, US transactions, we need to follow US laws also. And lastly, significant challenge for us future managers is to effectively lead and coordinate diverse cross-cultural teams. So if we would to diverse into the different nationalities, different pools of talent, so one of its challenge is really the cross-cultural of that being cross-cultural. Because of this identified opportunities and challenges, we will be talking about the international management implications. So, for organizations to thrive in the globalized world, a new set of capabilities is required. So, we have enumerated this four set of capabilities we need to uh, possess. First is we need to develop strong cross-cultural leadership skills and cultivate the ability to manage remote collaboration effectively. Next is our HR strategies must become global, adapting to diverse labor laws and cultural norms. There's a need, there's a critical need for organizational agility and the ability to localize products and services to specific markets and demands. Furthermore, an increased focus on ethics and sustainability in global supply chains is no longer optional, but it is essential for reputation and long-term viability. With that, we are presented with various frameworks because of these implications. So, the presentation also touched key theoretical frameworks that help us understand this complexity. So we have enumerated this Hofstede's cultural dimensions, Uppsala model of internationalization, Porter's competitive advantage, and the institutional theory. Let's talk about Hofstede's cultural dimension first. This Hofstede's cultural dimension talks about this framework provides a powerful lens for understanding national cultural differences like power distance or individualism, which are vital for effective cross cultural communication and management. On the other hand, Uppsala model of internationalization, this model helps us understand the gradual, incremental process by which firms expand into international markets, often starting small and increasing commitment as knowledge and experience grows. Next is Porter's competitive advantage. In a global context, Porter's work help us identify how firms can achieve and sustain competitive and advantage globally, whether through cost leadership or differentiation. And lastly, the institutional theory. This helps explain why organizations adopt certain structures and practices to conform to norms and rules in different institutional environments globally. We've seen successful navigation of these global waters by local giants such as Jollibee. They have already managed to penetrate markets in US and different countries in Southeast Asia, like Ayala Corporation and Globe Telecom. These companies that are started locally but have expanded their footprint or adapted their strategies to compete on a global scale. So I think that's all for globalization. Now, we're moving to the second mega trend, which is digital transformation. So, what is transformation? This is more than just adopting a new technology. It's a fundamental reimagining of how an organization operates and delivers value. It's the integration of computer based technologies across every aspect of a business, from products to processes to customers' interactions and strategic decision making. As the presentation underscored, organizations that fail to embrace uh, this transformation risks rapid obsolescence, like what happened to Nokia. They failed to adapt the digitalization of their primary product, which is uh, uh, phones, and which Samsung has already intervened. Another example would be Kodak. Failed to um, adapt digitalization from film cameras to digital ones. So let's now discuss what are the key drivers for this digital transformation. The drivers for this are multifaceted and compelling. For most, it is imperative to stay competitive. In today's market, digital capabilities are no longer luxury but a necessity. So you need to adapt this for you to survive. Next is meeting evolving customer demands for seamless, personalized, and instant online experience. And of course, rapid emergence and accessibility of new technologies like AI or artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing, IoTs, and big data analytics. So that's the key drivers for digital transformation. Now let's go to what are the impact how does digital transformation impacts the global businesses and its benefits. So let's dwell on that. The impact of successful digital transformation is profound. It leads to, first, significantly enhanced customer experience through personalized services and omnichannel engagement. Next is we will be able to have that ability to make data driven decisions, moving beyond intuition and actionable insights from analytics. And lastly, substantial improvements in efficiency and productivity across operations, streamlining processes, and automating the task. So we are developing how to be more efficient and how to be more productive. One key point that was being uh, elaborated was the importance of digital literacy. It is a critical component highlighted in the presentation, which it is not just for IT professionals, but across the entire workforce. Understanding how to leverage these digital tools effectively is a necessity, or it's a must. We also touch upon strategic use of graphic design tools for effective communication and how emerging um, technologies can be deployed to retain customers and promote business growth. So next is we will be um, identifying the key risk. So because of this digital transformation, this transformation journey is not only by the the good benefits out of it, but it also has its perils. We identified several key risks. First is cybersecurity threats, data privacy issues, operational disruptions, and cultural change and employee resistance. Cybersecurity threats with more it deals with more data and processes online that attacks surface for malicious actors dramatically increases. So there's a threat in your data security. Next is data privacy issues. Handling vast amounts of customers and operational data responsibly, especially with evolving regulations like GDPR or Local Data Privacy Act, is a continuous challenge. Potential for operational disruptions during implementation phases. So, when we are implementing this digital transformation, we cannot eliminate the fact that there can be potential operational disruptions, and crucially, cultural change and employee resistance, as digital transformation often requires new mindsets and skill sets. To mitigate this risk, the presentation emphasized the need for the following: robust cybersecurity measures, data management strategies, and proactive change in management plans. Robust security measures, cybersecurity measures, and comprehensive data management are letting us to be vigilant and being strict in adherence to privacy regulations. While proactive change management plans involves to train employees and clear uh, clear strategic objectives tied to customers' value. With this will be equipped with the trained employees. Um, Digital transformation is ultimately a strategic revolution demanding a careful balance of innovation with rigorous risk management, always keeping the customer at the core of every initiative. Now, finally, let's explore the perhaps the most immediate and visible shift in our daily professional lives: the rise of remote work and hybrid workforce. So, while remote work has existed, the global pandemic acted as an accelerant or a catalyst, uh, proving its viability on the unprecedented scale. So, what are these kind of works that we'll be tackling with? First is remote work and hybrid workforce. Remote work allows employees to perform their job duties entirely outside a traditional office setting, typically from home or uh, any place or anytime, as long as you have access to the internet. While hybrid workforce represents a blend where employees split their time between remote work and on-site office presence, offering a flexible middle ground. That's why it's a hybrid workforce. These models are driven by a combination of technological advancements, making remote collaboration seamless, and a growing employee demand for flexibility, uh, work-life balance, and autonomy. This shift presents unique leadership and management challenges. We can start asking by, how do you effectively manage distributed teams across different locations and time zones? How do you build and maintain trust when face to face interactions are limited? And how do you overcome potential communication barriers inherent in a remote first environment? The presentation highlighted several practices to address this. So these are regular check-ins and feedbacks, clear expectation and accountability, data privacy and protection, lastly, cybersecurity threats. Implementing regular check-ins and structured feedback mechanisms is to maintain connection and monitor progress while establishing clear expectation and accountability for remote team members, and actively fostering communication and collaboration through dedicated digital tools and virtual team building activities. Beyond management, the shift to remote work amplifies the critical concerns around data privacy and cybersecurity. With employees working from diverse locations, often on personal devices or less secure home networks, the risk of data breaches significantly increases. So protecting sensitive company information becomes a paramount concern. Furthermore, the discussion often raises ethical issues around employee surveillance and monitoring in remote settings, balancing oversight with individual privacy. This evolving nature of work naturally lead us to global talent mobility. This isn't just about moving people physically, it's a strategic approach to deploying the right talent with the right skills, with the right time, in the right positions anywhere in the world. It encompasses several key elements. These are international assignments, remote global work, visa immigration management, cross border recruitment, cultural integration support. So, international assignments are not just is about moving employees to different countries temporarily or permanently, like expatriates. And on cross border recruitment, it is actively hiring foreign professionals to fill the talent gaps where the local skills are scarce. And the very pertinent remote global work, employing talent uh, who work from another country without physically relocating. This also involves navigating complex visa and immigration management and providing robust cultural integration support for employees adapting to new environments. Now let's go to benefits. So we have enumerated three benefits. Um, it leads to enhanced employee engagement and retention by offering unique development opportunities. It dramatically improves talent acquisition and organizational agility by expanding the hiring pool globally. And it ensures optical alignment of skills with business needs, enabling companies to leverage specialized expertise wherever it resides. However, if there are benefits, there are also challenges. So one cannot exist without the other one. The challenges are equally significant, and these are navigating complex compliance issues across different legal and tax jurisdiction, addressing inherent cultural differences that can impact team cohesion and productivity, managing potentially high costs associated with international relocation and support, and once again, the critical issue of data security and privacy when sensitive information crosses international borders. Global talent mobility is a powerful strategy, but It demands meticulous planning and execution. In summary, the three megatrends we've explored today, globalization, digital transformation, and the evolution of remote and hybrid work with global talent mobility, are not an isolated phenomena. They are deeply interconnected forces that are fundamentally reshaping our world and how organizations operate. My key learnings from this comprehensive presentation are clear. First is adaptability and strategic foresight are no longer buzzwords, but they are paramount for navigating this dynamic environment. We must proactively embrace technology, not just a tool, but as a core enabler of strategy and a foster of culture of continuous learning within our organization. And finally, we must prioritize ethical and sustainable practices in all our global and digital endeavors, recognizing our responsibility to the people and the planet. By understanding these trends, by balancing innovation with robust risk management, and by always keeping the customer and our our people at the core, we can not only survive but truly thrive in this ever evolving global business and landscape. Thank you for your attention. Hope you have some learnings on that and see you in the next video learning with in the next learning video. Sayonara.